Welcome to the Magic of Emotional Intelligence series. I am your host, Abiola Salami. On this series, we share emotional intelligence insights to enable career professionals, entrepreneurs, and politicians achieve peak performance in their space. On this episode, we shall be discussing how to drive corporate governance with emotional intelligence. But before we get into it, let's go for a quick break. Order is the fundamental basis for productivity, where terms of engagement are clearly defined, and with that, almost anything can be achieved. That is exactly what corporate governance does for organizations. It is the system of rules, of protocols, and culture by which an organization is managed. It is the blueprint for power distributions, control, decision-making, and responsibilities. This set of guidelines are put in place to ensure that the organization's vision is achieved regardless of the endogenous or exogenous circumstances of the workplace. Corporate governance is also important for stakeholder management, ensuring that the interests of employees, investors, shareholders, regulators, customers, suppliers, and the community where the organization operates are protected within reasonable ambits. It is a non-negotiable feature of organizations that seek to maintain very high ethical standards while creating value for those associated with it. Emotional intelligence is what helps organizations find the delicate balance between ethics and profit-seeking, amongst other things. Extremism is a concept where there is a dangerous leaning to one end at the expense of the other. Finding the right anchors then becomes paramount in running very successful organizations. Here are some of the emotionally intelligent insights that you can apply as a leader in driving corporate governance in your organization. Number one, clarity of vision. Organizational awareness is an important feature of emotionally intelligent businesses, which greatly enables clarity of vision. Having a great vision is not always enough. It must be written down in plain terms and practiced holistically. Organizations, by their very nature, implies that the human and material resources are properly organized. Once a vision is not properly cast through corporate governance, the lines will be blurred and waters of engagement will be muddled. Overlapping functions and conflict of interest abound when people interact. Corporate governance that is designed and implemented with emotional intelligence then enables the leadership of organizations to disambiguate by drawing the necessary lines. Corporate governance decomposes an organization's vision into administrative and functional parts. The alignment that happens where the vision is lucid is almost effortless. The different stakeholders can then run with their respective briefs, which inevitably leads to desirable outcomes. This awareness is critical. Number two, incongruence. One of the very important perks of effective corporate governance is that people, processes, decisions, and actions that are antithetical to the organization's vision are easily identified and managed. Whether it's a recruitment error, a performance gap, an irrepressible behavior, failure of quality control, or actions that are not considered as best practice, the inconsistency will become glaring. Emotional intelligence brings awareness to the corporate space on ability to better manage conflict. Leaders must then act on this intelligence and effect the necessary changes. Just like the rule of law exposes oddities in the governance of countries, corporate governance does the same for organizations. Number three, efficiency. The renowned management consultant Peter Drucker submits that nothing is less productive than doing what should not be done at all. Corporate governance helps organizations streamline their operations, develop cost-effective approaches to engaging in economic activities, which ultimately eliminates or considerably reduces wastage. Emotional intelligence enables achievement orientation, which improves outcomes over time because the production process is constantly and continuously being pruned. Hence, more clogs are being removed. Once optimal levels are reached, production process can be largely automated because a rinse and repeat playbook has been created, which means that becomes a standard of production. Effective corporate governance is one of the veritable routes organizations maximize their competitive advantages. Number 4, compliance. Corporate governance greatly fosters both internal and external checks, which means quality control by the chief operating officers and others down the leadership ladder, while also meeting statutory standards and requirements by regulators. Compliance is the bar that has been set, the minimum level of acceptance. Therefore, emotionally intelligent leadership seeks to ensure that these quantitative and qualitative metrics are maintained at all times to spare the organization of undesirable consequences. This requires high levels of self-control, which emotional intelligence brings to the table. Failure to meet both internal and external standards have multifaceted consequences, from the customers who may decide to snub your product or service and opt for rival brands, to the regulator who may impose fines or confiscate your substandard products or ultimately shut down your business in cases of physical commodities, and the investors and shareholders who may decide to pull out their capital owing to failing fortunes, or from your employees who could resign or be fired due to an inevitable downsizing. Number 5, transparency. It has long been established that goodwill can be categorized as part of an organization's intangible or non-current assets. When strong corporate governance is enforced in any organization, the perception of integrity progressively increases, and this increases the brand equity of such an organization. The more a brand is trusted, the greater its social capital with all the relevant stakeholders. Emotional intelligence suggests to organizations that opaque operations cast a cloud of impropriety. Hence, you must make your systems easy to be scrutinized, especially from regulators. Inspirational leadership, as an element of emotional intelligence, ensures access is a very critical measure in determining the level of transparency of your organization. This can be improved by effective crisis management, prompt submission or disclosures of audited accounts or payments, and any other thing that you need to promptly declare to make sure that you're in good standing. Number 6, democratization of ideas. You see, proper corporate governance operates an all-comers affair. It promotes teamwork and ensures that the organization remains a marketplace of ideas for its stakeholders. Getting feedback is a sure way of aligning with the pain points that are necessary for growth. Organizations should act like organisms, which is they should be sensitive to internal and external stimuli. That is what your organization should represent. It is one of the features of a vibrant organization to be responsive to the environment you operate in, making necessary changes to maintain the need for business equilibrium. Listen to this. There are 2 black men who went into a Starbucks shop to wait for a business meeting with a third party. An employee on duty refused them from using the restroom and even called the police on them. The men were cuffed and arrested. Later, law enforcement officers would determine that there was no evidence of any crime committed by these 2 black men. The story quickly went viral as an episode of racial profiling. The CEO, Kevin R. Johnson, promptly responded to the outrage. He offered a public apology And then in the following weeks, the organization will shut down 8,000 of its stores on one afternoon just to train almost 175,000 of its employees on racial bias. This is to ensure they prevent a reoccurrence of this race bias in the foreseeable future. Guess what happened? Starbucks got high praise for its conscientious approach to addressing that saga. Emotional intelligence fosters teamwork, which is key to effective corporate governance, and it helps leaders to empathize to ensure that they engage all stakeholders within the environment for more profitability and growth for the organization. Number 7, capacity building. Capacity building, especially for the internal stakeholders. They must be empowered to execute what the organization has set out to achieve, both in the short and the long term. Effective corporate governance is executed by design, not by default. This intentionality ensures that every person acting on behalf of the organization is adequately enabled to discharge their duties to the best of their abilities. This speaks to trainings and compensation. If the right ethics are taught and modeled, and the right emoluments are paid to employees by providing adequate coaching and mentoring, the chances of an improved execution of their briefs are higher, and the results your organization will record will equally improve, and this will improve employee experiences and the outcome of your organization. Number 8, corporate social responsibility. One of the most underrated stakeholders to an organization is the physical community where it is situated. Acts of social corporate responsibility is an emotionally intelligent way of communicating to the demography of external stakeholders that not only that the affairs of your organization are well managed, but that the community also matters to you, and it's an integral part of your organization's ecosystem. Also, it is seen as a public relations tactic. It helps to garner goodwill that might be consequential to future activities of your organization. Corporate governance shouldn't just be executed, it must also be effectively communicated with empathy. This is a sure way of shoring up the organization's influence even in the community where you operate. Number 9, audit. The policies or playbook for corporate governance in any organization should never be set in stone. There should always be room for improvement, room for review. As the organization grows, the conditions that existed at an earlier growth point should be revisited. For example, the larger an organization gets, the more decentralized its decision-making should be, else it will concentrate huge powers at the center. It will inevitably breed inefficiency. Audit can also come in form of course correcting. The vision of an organization might evolve from an earlier standpoint, and the corporate governance structure should be nimble and agile enough to accommodate such changes. Emotional intelligence helps organizations to better adapt their quest for effective corporate governance. Number 10, strategic interest. The corporate governance of organizations should be built around their short-term and long-term goals. This positive outlook is inspired by emotional intelligence. Profit-making shouldn't always be your overriding agenda. It should have other markers for measuring success. McDonald's, for example, expands strategically, not just by opening a litany of stores, but also by situating their stores on choice real estate. So it is amassing value not only by selling commodity, but by asset appreciation. There is a bank in its earlier days in Nigeria that set its sights on the younger demography. It was targeting students and urban professionals. This strategy is reflected in almost everything the bank does. from a huge investment in digital technology for connecting with millennials to urban building and employment of a relatively younger workforce, amongst other things. Thank you for joining us today. We have been discussing emotional intelligence insights for driving corporate governance. You can equip yourself and your teams or more for peak performance by getting my new book, The Magic of Emotional Intelligence. Visit our website to get your copies. You can also follow us at Abiola Champ on all social media platforms. For coaching, training, speaking, and collaboration inquiries, please send an email to hello@abiolachamp.com. Till the next time, keep rocking your world like a champion.